Hello, hello. I'm going to have this on for just a minute. See if anyone comes on. Hello, hello. And as you're coming on, if you would tell me you're here, if anyone's here, that would be cool. And it would be super cool if you let me know where you are watching from. Gladiola's out, I thought, and then I put in hummingbird friendly and bee friendly plants. Well, that's bright orange. Oh, now we're back. Hey, if you're watching, let me know where you're from in the comments. Got some water I keep cool. It's rainwater, and I put it underneath the sunflowers. Inside this tray underneath helps the roots grow down to the bottom. Longer roots. These are sunflower seedlings too. They're a little bit smaller. These will be Russian mammoths. Just waiting on my client to be ready to have them put in, and they'll grow quickly too. Hey, if you're watching the video, let me know in the comments where you're from. Where you're watching from. There's some milkweed there. I'm going to see if I can get up close and look under the leaves for any eggs. Well, I don't see any obvious eggs right now. Is that something down there? No. No. What about this one? Any obvious eggs? Looking for monarch eggs. And I don't see any there. But if you are watching, uh-oh. If anyone's watching, then let me know where you're from. Ah! Which button? This button. There you go. Alright, Tammy Lowell, Lazy Northern Gardener. And I was going to do like an open forum today. So if you're watching, oops, let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, general garden questions, questions about the homestead, whatever, let me know that too. See if I can get some answers for you maybe. So I'm going to wait just a little bit longer, see if anyone jumps on. Okay. Just kind of walk around a little bit more. Let's see. Let's look for more milkweed. Not milkweed. We'll look for more monarch caterpillar eggs. Got giant common milkweed here. This is not recommended to plant in your garden, especially if it's a small garden, because it will take over the space. We already have some little ones around the corner here, in the back of there. I put in one plant, I think, 3 years ago, and this is how much is going on. And then we did have some grow out into the grass. So anyway, while we wait for other people to join in, let me know where you're from. And let me know if you have any gardening questions. So when I look for monarch eggs, I look under the leaves of milkweed, only milkweed. And nope, nothing yet. We may not get any on these plants. They're getting really leathery and tough. The monarchs tend to like, there's a little bee. Hello, bee. Happy thoughts. When you see a bee, just think happy thoughts. It's not there to hurt you. It's more afraid of you than you are of him or her. Him, her, I don't know. Anyway, we may not get milkweed or monarchs laying eggs on these milkweed because they're leathery now and tough because they're older, and they tend to like fresh leaves, young leaves, because They want the best for their babies. So when the baby caterpillars hatch out of the egg, they want food they can eat. All right, we'll look at this one here carefully. Look for eggs on this one. So this was not planned. I'm killing time in case somebody wants to join in. If you're joining in, then let me know where you're from. And if you have any gardening questions, general or for your space or about my space or about anything in particular, I will be happy to answer them for you. Oh, I don't see any here either. Kind of disappointing. I have not personally seen any monarchs this year. My husband said he saw one the other day out front, but I have not seen any monarchs. So my milkweed is barren so far. Oh, what is that? Nope, that's not it. I thought I had an egg a couple weeks ago, but it did not do anything. It did not hatch or anything like that. So I do not see, like sometimes people think, oh, that's an egg. But let me get it in the sun there. See? And that's actually like a little aphid or a little aphid egg. It's not a monarch egg. Bummer. All right. Got another stand over here. And if you're just joining us, let me know where you're from. And, oh, did somebody say something? Hey, Curtis. Hey, how you doing? Curtis, where are you from? And let's see what you're saying. Do you know the pretend monarch of England? No, the pretend monarch, the one that looks like a monarch but is not actually. Can't remember the name of it now. Of course, got me on the spot. I do not. I have to look that up. Swing and a miss for Tam. And of course it'll come to me probably when I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'll say, oh, that's what it is. If anyone else is watching and knows the name of the fake monarch, that would be super cool if you share it. Not seeing any common milk or any monarch eggs on these. Nope. Shoot, now that's gonna bug me. I don't know what the name is. Do you get those in your yard, Curtis? Yes. What is it? Please do. While Curtis is putting the answer in, I am showing you my dwarf Joe Pye weed. When these flowers start blooming, the butterflies and the bees love them. So it's a dwarf Joe Pye weed. There's the tall, regular Joe Pye weed. I know it's still a noble name, but what is it? I can't remember. Queen... lady, no, I don't know. What is it? I was telling my daughter yesterday, I was like, oh no, look at my leaves. They got holes in them. Guess what? This is fine. Probably it's Japanese beetles, but there's so much green growth, I'm not worried about it. It's very well established. It can handle some of this. It might be Japanese beetles, it might be not ladybugs, shoot. I don't know. Tell me what it is. I can't stand it. So I tell my daughter, I just do the 10-step approach. And here's the 10-step approach. Walk out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. and it's fine. Viceroy! I know that's what it is. I figured it out with your clue. Right? Viceroy. Goofy name. So, Curtis, what is the difference between the Viceroy and the Monarch? Tell him that. Got more, a little bit more milkweed over here. Probably not gonna find. I'm gonna find the same thing. Step over my irises. I like the sword pattern. When it comes to garden design, that vertical movement is nice against the fluffy flowers. This is the fluffy leaves. This is a aster. These are the Jacob Klein bee balm. These are deciduous holly. And I can get through here. Oh, big grasshopper just jumped. Viceroy, yes. Ha! So tell them what the difference is between the Viceroy and the Monarch. It's very slight, isn't it? If you're just now tuning in, I'm just kind of killing some time until some more people join in. I'm looking currently for monarch eggs. I look on the underside of the leaves, or sometimes you luck out and you actually see a caterpillar, which would be super cool, but I'm not gonna cross my fingers or hold my breath. So there is a butterfly that looks a lot like a monarch, as Curtis mentioned, the Viceroy. And I think there's just a solid line at the bottom of the Viceroy that's different than the monarch. So if you ever happen to see a monarch and you're taking photos, see if you can take photos of the whole thing. Go real still, real slow to not scare it away. You want to get the sides of the wings and the bottoms if possible, so you can identify it. Now the male, see I got a baby milkweed down there, I should check that one too. The male monarch, very slight, good. Alright, good. The male monarch has a dot on his wing, whereas the female does not. And you can raise them at home if you can find the eggs or caterpillars. You can bring them inside and raise them, or sometimes it's better to have a mesh enclosure outside so the temperatures are all the same. See, we've got the same kind of stuff going on in this Joe Pye weed. Hi, tractor. Whee! But you can raise them until they turn into a chrysalis, and then when the chrysalis turns from green with these gold things on them to black, that means the chrysalis itself is clear and the inside is black. It doesn't mean that your butterfly died. Your monarch did not die. Your monarch is actually changed and is nearly ready to come out, which is so cool. And then once it starts coming out of the chrysalis, it will have really short wings and they'll be really full, like fat. And what has to happen is the monarch has to move its wings around a bunch, move them around, and they're moving slowly, they're moving fast, and the juices from the wings go into the body like they're supposed to, or the other way around. Yes, the wings are shriveled and the body is fat. And so when they start moving their wings, the liquids come out of the torso and into the wings to expand them So when a monarch comes out of a chrysalis, and a lot of beginners don't realize this, they think that they hurt it somehow or something's gone wrong, and it really hasn't. When it comes out, you figure it was all scrunched up in the chrysalis. So the fluids are all in the abdomen or the thorax, and they have to get them pumped out into the venous system, like of the wings, to make them do what they're supposed to. So a lot of times new monarch mama and daddies will be scared. They'll be concerned they hurt them, and they didn't. That's normal. Oh, you're welcome, Curtis. I call to remind myself, men are special on the outside and girls are special on the inside. So when I see the dot, I know I've got a male. That kind of reminds me. I don't see any monarch eggs. There may be some over here in this stand. But like I said, I haven't even seen them flying around. I did see a black swallowtail is flying around the backyard in the vegetable garden. But I have not seen it out here. Not like I'm out here all the time anyway. It's loud. So, yeah, I know. Alright, if you're just joining me and Curtis, if there's anyone else out there, let me know where you're from. And if you have any other garden questions, hey, Curtis, you got any real questions that are like, I might know the answer to and not try and stump me? I know I should have known that. There we go. Now that's a hummingbird. If I'm quiet, it's up in the tree. Oh, there it goes. Just flew away. It was going to fly to these flowers, the Jacob bee balm. And they literally, they're like OCD. They go from one petal to the very next petal, the very next flower, the very next flower, the very next flower. And you can see how these are shaped like little tubes. And that is what the hummingbirds like to put their tongue in, or the butterflies like to put their, I think it's called a proboscis, in their, oh, it's coming back, it's coming back. Nope. It's like, see ya. I don't know who you are. I'm gonna see if I can just come over here and stand for a minute. Because we only have a couple hummingbirds that I've seen that come to the yard. And actually, when I'm working in my raised kitchen garden beds over here, and I had the feeder in between here, they would come to the garden and buzz me while I was working in the garden. Oh, he's up in the tree now. He's above the sunflower. Now he's coming to the cardinal flower. Those have tubular shapes too. And he's thinking about coming over to the other one. So that's a cardinal flower. Has a trumpet shape to the flower, and that's what they like too. And out of the corner of my eye, I think he's coming back. Yep, I see him. He's over by the raspberries. He's behind the raspberries right now. Now he's right by the bird bath. He's behind the stand of flowers. Or she. Oh yeah, there. Oh, it's right back there. It's like right. It's like right. Where's my finger? Where's my finger? It's like right up there. He's behind the flowers. He's gonna come out front in a minute because I'm not moving. If you want hummingbirds in your yard, leave some piles around that insects come to, and then spiders will make their nests there, or their webs, because when they make their nests, they use like mud, but they also use moss from like trees and like old logs, and they also use spider webs. But if your garden is so tidy, you don't have any kind of debris anywhere, they don't have somewhere to go to get their supplies for their nests. I can't see, there's something here and I can't see it. Tax credits for something. I can't read that. Let me see. Tax credits for xeriscapes. Ooh, I don't know. Do you know about that? I'm gonna look that up though. When we bought this land, it's 3/4 of an acre, but there's an easement out there by the road. You can't use past the utility post. And there's an easement on the side, the east side, and there's an easement in the back. And it was only this grass right here. That's it. It was grass and this Norway maple and that Japanese maple and that Japanese maple and the birch, and then there's pine trees off in the corner, the northwest corner, and that was it. So everything else we have planted since 2019, which is when we've been here. And my vision is that this would be a wildlife hedge, because I love bird watching, and that's what I've always loved doing in the backyard of our suburban lot. So it's really loud out here, so I decided I'm gonna make it for the birds and the bees and stuff. So I've got different beds all around the edges. Edges are important. I don't need to water this. The only part I water of this front hedge up here is the berry bed right here, and that's only because the berries are forming and I want to make sure they have enough water. That's it. Everything else doesn't have to be watered, but, and here's a Heritage River birch. It's going to grow in really nice. It's north of everything else basically, so everything else could still grow just fine. And Heritage River birches, they like their legs showing. Oh, there's the Hummer. He's underneath the orange feeder. Oh, now he's behind there. He's going back there. He's trying to sneak in there. So because the birch likes its feet, its legs uncovered, that gives plenty of room for sunshine to come through. Oh, he's like way in the back. Turn it. Of the bee balm. Oh, now he's like on the inside. He's trying to be stealthy. Oh, can you see him? There he goes. Oh, just flew away. So this is what I envision, is that this would all be for wildlife, because we've got farmland everywhere. So there's really not too much for the wildlife to eat out in the farmlands. And then we got suburbia, and a lot of homes don't plant for wildlife. And so all of this was also a field as well. So this maple's new, like 2 years ago, I think. And like all these shrubs we put in the 3 years. The privacy fence is new to us. It was not there when we bought the house. We put that up when COVID, when the lockdowns just started happening in March 2020. We said, well, we don't know what people are going to be like, so let's put up the fence, and we did that. And so I kind of like that people can't see me from the street. All right, what else do you say, Curtis? Tax credit for xeriscapes. Oh, amazingly beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. And so what I'm hoping too is that when all the shrubs themselves actually grow in and fill in the space, that there will be no upkeep needed. That the shade will be dense enough that no weeds will grow underneath, and that we can just mulch and be done with it. And then they have things areas that they can bed down in. The birds can come. This is a sand cherry here. So I planted that basically for the wildlife. And then the shrubs on either side have berries as well. The sand cherry is okay for humans, but the other two on the other each side are not good for humans to eat. And so I've been trying to fill in with the sunflowers. I got some asters over here too. These are for cutting. And if you're just joining in, let me know where you're watching from. And these are called Pro-Cut sunflowers. Pro-Cut is like the type of sunflowers, and they have all different colors and shapes. Some have a really large center and small petals, and likewise some have a small center and large petals, but they have no pollen. So when you make bouquets, you can use these as cut flowers in arrangements. There's no pollen to get on your tables or linens or whatever. And that said, then I wondered if they're going to have sterile seeds. I don't know. That's a question I got to look up. Apparently. So I like to go with the good old standbys. Like we've got forsythia here for spring color, and then it will fill out really nicely. It'll fill this space out really nicely. It'll be shady and some privacy, and yeah, our maple, huge, and it's going to be a bright red in the fall. Again, more shade. People think you have to grow things all in sun, and it's like no. They consider full sun to be 6 hours a day. That's it for full sun. And see, here's some of the berries. These are going to turn blue, but they're not blueberries to eat. They're poisonous to humans, so don't eat those. But what happens with the shade and with all the things that are all pushed together is when the winds come, it protects them from blowing over. It also catches rain and makes it fall down. This is like permaculture. When you have a tall tree and you're going to surround the tree with herbs and plants and shrubs, all of the rainwater that's blown gets caught up and falls to the ground where the tree's going to need it and the other shrubs are going to need it. These smaller, that's the asters and some sunflowers obviously, but the smaller things around the tree get protected from the hot sun, too much sun. The ground stays cooler and it doesn't need as much, doesn't need watering. We've laid wood chips down last year, and then I just emptied out some of the old chicken poo we collected. I just put those, side dressed the sunflowers with them. So actually they're doing pretty well over here. These over here are little midgets, probably because they're so close to the maple tree, and the maple tree roots are going to go as far out as these leaves right here. Difference between witch hazel and forsythia. Oh, that's a good one. So your forsythia is only going to bloom yellow in the very beginning of the spring. And all it's going to have in the spring is flowers. And when you see the forsythia in bloom, that's the time to trim your roses. That's the way the gardeners know to trim roses. Now, the forsythia is only going to be green like this, and then the leaves are going to fall off. It's deciduous, so in the fall the leaves come off, and then it's just like sticks. So it's pretty. It's got winter interest. But then the witch hazel, do I have one out here? I do. It's kind of far over on this side. The witch hazel, supposedly, which I haven't seen yet. More sunflowers on the way over. This is willow. Willow is good to chew on if you have a headache, because it's got the I can't remember what, I don't want to say salicylic acid. It's got the stuff that aspirin is, basically, is willow. There's service berries, a lot of weeds in there. I got to get in there. More service berries. Ooh, wait, are there still berries in there? Nope, those are just leaves changing. Okay. From what I understand, the witch hazel actually blooms in the winter. It's supposed to have yellow flowers in the winter. Where is my witch hazel now? Really? It's in here somewhere. I'm not going to find it on this side though. Okay. Got some on the other side. And it will grow tall. But it also has the medicinal properties. And forsythia doesn't have medicinal properties. The leaves of the forsythia... I think forsythia would be a beautiful name for a girl. I think if I had kids, again, I'd probably name them all flower and plant names. So the forsythia has these leaves that are a little bit glossy, shiny, and real thin. And the light kind of plays on them. Too many people make these into bushes, hedges, mushrooms, squares, and they're really supposed to be like up and about, like this arching shape is what a forsythia is supposed to be, apparently. And it's kind of funny. I looked up how to trim these, and the lady was saying that, because I was like, well, I don't know if I need to trim these off. They might be too long. They might not be doing what they're supposed to, but they're actually what their plant is supposed to look like. So there's our forsythia, and the leaves are kind of see-through. And then the witch hazel leaves. This is actually the stuff you get at the drugstore, witch hazel. Apparently you can make some kind of astringent. I don't know how yet, but I have books on how to do it. I need to look and see how to do it. But the witch hazel, it grows in more of like an upright form. And they're like wide and long. They're not as shiny. And they will turn yellow in the fall, which I love. I love it when shrubs will turn colors. And like I said, they're supposed to have flowers in the winter time. I heard like in December they would have flowers, which would be really cool if that's the case. Because I do like to plant for 3 or 4 different seasons if at all possible. So that winter interest would be nice. And so that would be against the red bud. That's going to change a little bit of color. And the Norway maple changes color too. So I don't know a lot about witch hazel, but I did plant it. It's kind of got the kind of stems like Rose of Sharon does. Very similar to Rose of Sharon, actually, when I think about those. And so far, I haven't had deer eat it. No one's damaged it. I put it in as a single root, like a single stick. It came in the mail. A bare root plant, and seems to be doing okay. It's probably supposed to be a little taller than that. I think the one on the far east side is taller. I just can't find it. Things have grown up over there because I don't really pay attention to it over there that much. So that is the witch hazel versus forsythia. And like I said, witch hazel is a little bit more. I don't know as much about it yet, but I'm learning. You'd rather name kids after plants too? Yeah, that would be fun. Now what I found is it seemed like the red bud was just not. Well, I got one group of flowers, and it was like right up in here, and that was like it. The one that I saw. So I think it needed more water. I think it needed to get older, because it seems like now that I'm starting to water on this side over here, it's grown better. So that could be the case with the witch hazel as well. It might need more water. All right. I thought they both bloomed at the same time. Oh. No, I don't know how witch hazel smells. I haven't smelled it yet. No, in I'm not sure where are you viewing from there, Mr. Curtis? What state or what zone or whatever? Because in our zone here, 6A/B, because we're right on the edge, they said it's supposed to bloom in the late fall, early winter. But our forsythia doesn't bloom usually till March. I'd have to look back at the photos again. And if it's a warmer spring, then they're going to bloom a little bit earlier, but no earlier than March. Because you can usually have some beautiful yellow forsythia blooming with the daffodils, the early daffodils, and the tulips, the early tulips. So they usually look pretty well together. You're from Taylor. Okay, well, I don't know. I guess I'm going to find out. If this witch hazel gets bigger, I'll find out. And then I will report back. I'm doing a lot of new things, so I don't know. I guess that's a good answer. Is it an answer? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I have some answers. Not a lot, but some. I'm finding out that growing onions in a container is probably not a good idea. Actually, growing them here is probably not a good idea because I don't see them to water them. And I think they've just gotten too dry. That's probably not a good place to have them. I had them over by the watering, by the rain barrel. That was probably a better place for them. That's all right. All right, so it's Sunday. I'm trying to kill some time and show you guys around a little bit. I'm trying to answer Curtis's hard questions. And you know what though? I'll put a blog post together for you with some of those answers so that you have it too. So one lesson I learned is make sure you label your seedlings well. I had labeled this big leaf plant that I planted as cabbage. They were supposed to be cabbage growing there. It's not, it's kale. So I just keep ripping leaves off. I have de-leafed this whole plant and it's grown back already. So I'm going to give these leaves, which probably, yep, there's holes. So I'm going to give these leaves to the chickens because they probably also have bugs on them. They'll love it. Put it in my little egg basket. Here was a experiment. I put in some zucchini seeds, the dark star zucchini, and a mound of compost. And then around the edges, I did carrot seeds, and the carrots are doing real well. Around the edges, they're starting to grow in, but this zucchini seed is not growing. Probably needs more water. I don't get a lot of water out here. That is a cucamelon, and I'm hoping it hurries up and grows. Still a little baby before this kale takes over everything. So the kale, if it's got holes, I'm giving them into the chickens because it's probably got bugs. If there's no holes, I'll rinse them off and I will dehydrate them and then grind them up in a powder, a greens powder, and nobody will know, not even me, that it's greens. I don't not like kale. Kale is fine. This kale I like. It's a smooth leaf kale. I'm not in favor of the dinosaur kale or anything else that feels, I don't know, weird. So give this zucchini a little bit more drink. Make sure it gets into the soil. I think I'm liking mulching with this straw too. It's a really fine straw because the soil is staying cooler. Since the soil is black, it's composty, topsoily, the straw seems to be reflecting some of the heat away, which I like. Tomatillos, not ready yet. I don't know how long they take. I'd have to look at the seed packet. But I was showing my daughter yesterday. See the little hole? Isn't that cute? So what I've heard is that when the tomatillo grows bigger and it pushes out, almost like a birth canal kind of thing, it pushes out of this little shell thingy. Can you hear it? Crinkly? Crinkly? Then they're ready. And people use them for salsa verde, which I guess is green salsa, and I don't know how to make that yet. Or what I may just collect them and then ask people to make it for me. This is bad. Bad. Do you know what that is? Giant-headed celosia. I have not seen them before. What do they look like? I'll have to look at the photo. But this is a Japanese beetle. And if I had my gloves on and some soapy water, I'd grab it and put it in the soapy water and kill it. Because we do not like Japanese beetles. They eat a lot of different leaves. This plant is pretty well established. It's not like it's a seedling. So it can probably handle some leaves getting eaten. But if there's one, there may be more. Might call its friends and say, hey, come with us to the buffet. And that's not Phoebe buffet. And that was a grasshopper. Look like a butterfly? No. That is a ginormous grasshopper over there. And they will eat leaves as well. Gotta be careful with those. What else is I'm going to show you? Oh yeah, here's a volunteer dill. Absolutely, you may stay. The pansies are all volunteers. You may stay. This is chamomile. You may stay. So it looks like. Let's see. Ah, get off me! Got a bug on me. Ah. So giant celosia, I'm gonna have to giant-headed celosia. I gotta look that up for you. Those right there. Those are the tomatillos. See how they're upright, and then they have those giant balloons on them. And the tomatillo is gonna push through the balloons, and you'll see it. And then eventually it'll like look like a tomato, but it pushes through those balloons. Now this over here is the ground cherry. We actually have two plants. One is in here. This was from one seed. One seedling is the ground cherry. And then I have another ground cherry in the backyard. And the ground cherry, you can see it's more sprawled. The branches are like, I know, volunteers are good. Free plants are good. But the branches are a lot more sprawled out, like more horizontal along the ground. And the way to check them again is you go and find one that's yellowish or brown. This one's a little yellow. And you kind of tickle it. Oh, I want to kind of pulled off. When they fall off, they're really ready. This has probably got a little bit of green in it. Come on out. Can't do this with one hand. It's got a little bit of green in it. Oh, still pretty good to me. Not everybody likes them. That's okay. That means there's more for me. This one's kind of dried out, but it's still green. I think it fell off, of course. This one, just barely tickle. If it's not ready, it's not going to come off. So, all right. And then I can just look on the ground even. So I call them ground cherries. And I can lift these branches up. Look underneath. This one fell down already. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. This one here already fell down. And there's another one on the ledge over here. And there's one right here. This one's really ready. And I don't mind eating them right from the garden because they already have this cover on them. I have not seen any bugs. God, that would be terrible. What if I ate one I didn't see the bug? Ew. Hold on a minute. Let me flip this around here. This. I don't know if you can see them. That's the whole point. Okay. So this one is really, really ripe. Oh yeah. Nice yellow. There it is. Nice yellow. Perfect. This one is a little. It's got some green on the back. And apparently if I take it in, it may ripen a little bit more. I'm going to try that. This one is pretty brown. I don't know if you guys can see these. this way instead. I need to stand. Okay, this one is brown and crinkly. Push it out. And the cherry, or actually it's a tomato, is all pretty yellow. So it's ready. Yup, delicious. That other one I'm going to bring in. So those are the ground cherries. And how they're different than the tomatillos. Tomatillos. There's some more on there. I'll have to come back later. Take care of those. Oh yeah, I was going to get kale. I knew there was a lot of kale out here. All that's kale. It was all supposed to be cabbage. One day I'm going to grow cabbage successfully. I'll probably have to do it in underneath some hoops in a dedicated space. But won't be today. No, two. Oh, I got my mouth loaded. Cherries. No, it's okay, Curtis. You're the only one on. Anyone else that was on, they could blab too. And they're not. So, booyah. Got a cucumber in there. I threw in some purple pole beans to climb up. This is a red runner bean, so it's not one that's edible. But the purple pole beans are, and Aunt Linda really likes those. So I'm going to grow some more for her. Spinach is bolting in the back. And I put some more tomatoes over there. They need water. And I see a cherry tomato over there too. And you see there are some spider webs over in that edge. So the hummingbirds can come and get those spider webs to make their nests. And I have lots more kale with holes. So the chickens, get to eat them. See those big old holes? And I was going to show you too. If you're like, oh no, I have holes. I don't know what's causing the holes. Almost always it's going to be caterpillars from that moth right there. Where'd it go? This moth, the cabbage moth. Yes, you star attraction. They lay their eggs on anything that's a cold crop. Any kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, obviously because they're cabbage moth. They lay their eggs there on those crops and you get holes unless you have a hoop over them with netting, bug netting. Some people like to spray. I don't spray. And the only thing I'm going to spray next year is for the creeping Charlie and the grass in the backyard. That's it. So if you're like, I don't know what's making the holes, look at the leaves. For example, this one here has poop. Poop, poop, poop. That's all caterpillar poop. Caterpillar poop. So as it's eating, it's pooping. So for your food for humans, if you don't want caterpillars and caterpillar poop, you gotta cover them. If you're growing it for your chickens or for your rabbits or whatever else, if you're just growing it for smoothies, maybe it might not matter. You'll wash it and blend it all up. But if you're growing for market, you may want to cover it unless you're going to use some of the chemicals. And like I said, I don't use the chemicals, so I'm not even going to recommend any or say any of them. Here's my other zucchini plant. This is regular zucchini. And I have carrots growing. Oh, good. They're growing around the edges too. Good. Carrots really like it moist. So this time when I planted them, I made a trough around here. So when I water here, water goes out to them. And then also I covered them with a straw. So like grass, when you're newly seeding grass, it kept it moist. Looks like it needs a little bit of water or something. But I found out when I planted in the backyard, I planted all summer squash, like the yellow summer squash. I didn't plant any zucchini, so I figured I better put some zucchini, because I love zucchini, out in the front. So let's come along here. Obviously, I care nothing about weeds in the grass, in the sidewalks, in the driveways. Don't care. Crazy here, don't care. Some people do, I don't. Sometimes hubby will get on a thing and he'll come and pull them, and I say more power to him. Now, talking about spraying, I could spray the 30% vinegar solution, and it would kill the weeds off in a sunny, dry day. But I don't feel like it. I got other things to do, to be perfectly honest. So here's the herb bed. Apparently I have not been watering it long enough or frequently enough, because my chives are all falling over. I can tell. Over here, the beans, bush beans, there are some, and it looks like they need to be fertilized. Yeah, cabbage is hard to grow for me. I even had it under cover last year, but somehow some of the things got underneath it. But I do want to do them. I do want to grow them. I just have to figure out how to grow them successfully. So the leaves of the beans show me that they need fertilizer, and that needs some fertilizer. This is cilantro that went to seed. Where is it? There. Can I get it in focus? It went to seed, so those seeds are called coriander. I can get those off the plant and replant them in the soil and get new cilantro. Or I can just save the seeds, grind them up, and use them as coriander. That's what cilantro does. After it flowers, goes to seed. Cilantro bolts easily. It panics when it gets hot. It gets really tall and says, I'm going to die. I need to reproduce. These are some more coriander seeds. So it reproduced last year. I didn't plant any of this coriander. That came from seeds from last year. More volunteers. There is oregano in there from last year. Again, I didn't replant that. These I accidentally planted. These are purple pole beans. I was like, why are these vining so much? They're supposed to be the bush beans. But apparently I got my seeds switched. But these are more purple pole beans. They're a little bit happier with more water. And they're definitely happier with trellising. So that's good. All right. Any other questions while we are in the shade? I don't see any new questions. This one was an experiment. I ripped out all the... It originally was catnip with some milkweed. Because we got catnip from a friend as a housewarming gift. We put it in here. The cats were very excited. They tore it all up. They slept in it. They loved it. But then the catnip grew out, or got covered up by mint that went to seed. So this whole thing was like mint. It might have been... Was it lemon balm too? Let's see what this is. It smells like... No, that's mint. Definitely mint. It was covered in mint. The cats didn't like it now, which is fine. But I said, you know what? I've got more more tomato suckers. And I had some slips for sweet potatoes. So I threw those in there instead. And I'm going to stake these tomatoes. I'm going to tie them to these stakes as they get bigger. And then eventually I'll be taking off the bottom leaves, so they're not touching the ground, not touching the soil. And then the sweet potatoes are growing pretty well. They were just little babies. So this whole container will be filled, hopefully underground, with sweet potatoes. And on top with tomatoes. This is where I had the Black-Eyed Susan trellis last year. Black-Eyed Susan vine. Yes, there's more milkweed. I can look for more eggs, but cursory glances say there are no monarch eggs. This is not a monarch egg. I'll show you what is not a monarch egg. That's a bug. And then there's some little baby one. Maybe there's a monarch there. No. 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 Nothing there. Okay. And so, anyway, that's growing really well for photo purposes and Instagram purposes. I need to clean all that stuff up. But I'm not doing it yet. Because I got other stuff to do and I don't want to right now, so. Alright. But any weeds that we do pull, we usually end up giving to the chickens. So, More milkweed. I'm not checking all these milkweed. I'm gonna wait until I see some monarchs flying around. Hi, Noel. Hi, baby girl. Did you hear me outside? In front. She can't come out front because she likes to run into the street, so no. We did get her little doggy pool and put rocks in it. She likes to get her rocks, right? You want your rock? You want your rock? You just woke up, didn't you? She can get rocks. I gotta clean that water out. That's gross. And then I unfenced. I freed the plants over here because Creeping Charlie is in there, and I am just gonna lose my mind over this dumb Creeping Charlie. So I unfenced it all. I freed the plants. The hoses are not rolled up. My husband will have a cow. He's in the Navy. He's a chief, and he likes order. So I don't like all this order. This is not the order I like. This Creeping Charlie's terrible. Next spring, I am spraying for it to kill it all off. It's going to be gone. But it's taken over all my bed. I don't like it. And so yesterday I pulled out the 3 black chickens, the Marins. They're really good diggers. It was Sasha, Orange, and Greenie. And I had taken the fence down here. Just those 3 of them. I let them, I scattered some chicken scratch in here and let them have at it and dig it and stuff like that. I had to get them started with the with my tool to start digging. So they would kind of get the hint, and they're like, oh, we can dig in here? Yes, please. These plants are really well established. I don't think that they can do much damage to them. Chickens can do damage, but not to these. They're doing pretty well. I did more damage to my lavender when I was ripping some of these weeds out. They broke a branch off. It's more than what the chickens are going to do. But the birch tree, this is one we planted last year. Really, really doing well. Very happy. And the other one, it's doing pretty happy too. It's pretty happy. I do have, there's a number of dead branches I need to come in and just clip off so that all the energy is only going to live tissue. But I can see them there. And that's not hard to do. I might be able to snap them off, but I'd rather clip them. And then we can just use them for kindling. And then they will form leaves. See, there's like a leaf on the branch that's forming. And that's what's going to happen once these dead branches are gone. So it's doing fine. Doing fine. This birch tree, this is the one I moved right the day before we had the homestead open house. Oh, there's a chick out. You better get inside. You better get inside. Look at that. That's a little creep. Look at that hole. Oh, you know. Yeah, okay. All right. Anyway, I'm not going into all that. I was going to visit with them in a minute. Anyway, this one we moved right before the homestead open house. It was just roots. And so that was in May, the end of May. And it's doing okay. It probably could use some water. It's looking a little crinkly at the tops. So I haven't actually gone and watered it well. This one, I cleaned up the feet and it grew taller and wider, which I love. So I might, maybe a couple more branches down at the bottom I can clean up and it's going to be fine. That little creep. See, this is why I can't leave. My husband's down at family camp playing drums. And there's no way I could just leave them, these little chicks, because they're not very smart. They're the R word. That's not acceptable to use anymore. And not very smart either. So that's about the only place they can get out over there. Everything else I have cardboarded, or I put up like deer fencing so the holes are smaller. And then I thought, whoa, wait a minute. If they could get through this fencing here and they can't figure out how to get back in, then they could get out over here too. And then what we were going to do. And apparently that one is just sitting there, just chillaxing, waiting to get eaten by a hawk, by an eagle. We get eagles. By, I don't know, a vulture. I don't know if the buzzards would eat her. If it's a her, doesn't matter. Anyway, all right. So the red onions, they're still growing. There were a couple huge ones in the back. I already gave those away and used them. Took out the garlic. Put in sweet potato slips. More onions, doing pretty well. There's some comfrey growing in there too. I see some comfrey. Got a couple of leaves over here. Can't see on the screen. A couple of leaves of comfrey over here. Got to pull those out and move them. Doing pretty well. Yes, you can grow artichokes. Yes, you can grow artichokes. Put them in a protected spot that's sunny too. So it won't get a lot of the north winds. And it won't be like buffeted around in the winter time so much. But I'll show you. I've got 4 plants right now. Here's some cucumber. Late start, I know. More cucumber there. And these onions are amazingly large. These are the Walla Wallas. Walla Wallas. This bachelor button crap is way too much. It's way. I did not realize it was going to grow so prolifically. So I will have to take some of those down. And again, the cabbage moths, the caterpillars, they strip the leaves pretty well. This is a Brussels sprout. Oh my gosh, they're going to love this. Check this out. It's a sunny day. They're all sunning themselves. Look at those disgusting caterpillars. Guess who gets a treat? Guess what, ladies? You're going to love it, honeys. Too bad I got to touch it. It's disgusting. Guess what I have for you? Treat. Treat. Get the bugs. Good girls. She's trying to be delicate and get the caterpillars. And they're all ripping at it. There you go. Oh, look at that. There was like 7 or 8 of them at one time. I'm excited for that. Huh. It looked like they were having a meeting. Oh, look, there's one more. I don't want to touch it with my fingers, though. Wait, I have my gloves, actually, in my basket. And that was in case I saw some squash bugs. I could squish them. But they blend in so well, they're hard to see. So a lot of people say plant way more of these crops than you need. Can you see it? That way, if they do damage, if they try to do the damage, you're going to have extras. Look at that. Guess who gets a treat? Thank you for your eggs. Thank you for your service. What's that? Want it? Eat it. Eat it. Really? Really? You're killing me, kids. All right. So my plan for this part, they always say, if you want God to laugh, tell him your plan. My plan for this one was to have a bunch of things on the trellis. The only thing so far is this cardinal flower, which is not real happy. I did end up planting a sucker of tomato there. I got a couple tomatoes there. There are cucumbers that don't grow very tall. Over here is Amish melon in the back. In the middle somewhere is Malabar spinach. So this was all supposed to be trellised. And it was going to give all of these shade. Because you can grow your cold crops longer when they're not out in the hot sun. When they're in the hot sun, they bolt. Like these lettuces bolted. They say, oh, we need to make seeds. Which for me, I don't care. Because it's for the chickens. So I just pull that off. Pull these bolted things out. Give them to the chickens and they're happy. There's bolted spinach for the chickens. For the chickens. For the chickens. And then eventually, when they eat it, and they process it, and they make the eggs, eventually I get my greens too. Those are for them. And I just spotted another creepy crawly. I'm going to get off of there, especially because they're big. So the bigger the creepy crawly, the more they can eat. I don't know if you can see that one. And they're just about the same color as these leaves. But not for long. Come here, creepy crawly. Bye. Maybe Grace will eat it. Gracie? Grace? Hey! Broody, knock it off. Hey, who wants this? Luda. Come here, Luda. Luda. Come here, Luda. Greenie. Somebody. Come and eat this. You. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. It's on the ground. Oh, okay. Anyway. So I got the kale. Oh. So back to the vine story. So shading your greens is going to keep them longer. They're not going to bolt as quickly. You're going to be able to grow them longer into the season. I mean, it's only the beginning of July, so it's only going to get hotter. So because I don't have the vines yet to shade them, I'd had a shade over there at the greenhouse. Because when it was too hot in the greenhouse, I would take the plants out and put them underneath the shade. So I moved that this morning to here. I figured that's going to get a better use of the shading over here. So right now, this is all shaded. In the middle of the day, because the sun is starting to go south. So in the middle of the day, this shade produces, it's going to come this way toward the greens. So as the sun is directly overhead only on the 21st of June. It's directly overhead. It goes east to west, and that's all it does. But now that June 21st is done, it's going to start going this way in the sky. So it's going to be more south in the sky each day. It's going to be lower in the sky. So by the time fall sets, it's going to come out almost directly behind the privacy fence and come along here. So that gives the onions and the carrots plenty of sun. It'll give the sweet potatoes plenty of sun. The corn will still get lots of sun. It's in the north side of the bed, so it doesn't have a lot of things blocking it. These were blocking the morning sun pretty well when it would come up at the east, so they were blocking these. So I'm hoping the shade cloth is going to help a little bit longer, keep those longer. But yes, anyway, yes, you can grow artichoke in Michigan. You start it in a kind of larger pot. You start the seed in about at least like a 3 by, gosh, it's gotta be like, don't do it in a seed pot, in a small seed pot, because they don't like to be moved a lot. You put them more than a, oh gosh, what did I start it in? Like a 4 by 4 pot. I think it was about 4 inches. And you only put like 1 or 2 seeds in there. And then once it's about 2-3 inches tall, then you can transplant it out. Now from there, I don't know. They're kind of large. The ones I have right in the orchard are kind of large right now. I only have 4, and I don't think I can eat them the first year. Oh, I don't have the fan on there. I gotta give them the fan. I may have to wait till the second year. I'm not positive. But they're basically, what you're eating in an artichoke is basically the flower bud. You're eating the buds. Bud. Alright, so here's some more of this kale. They don't care if it's wilted. They are not fussy. Yeah, I'm zoomed all the way out. Okay. Not fussy usually. They're hot. I don't have the fan on. I gotta turn that fan on for them. That's the other part, is I don't have the fan. Actually, that's what I need to do. There we go. I need to put the fan on a timer for them. It's like I have greenhouse timers, so that they can have it come on when it is hot. Like, actually, I think you can set it on an actual temperature gauge. So if the greenhouse temperatures get to like 82, it'll turn on automatically. And so if the temperature in there, like right now it says, back there it says it's about 85. It says it's 85 in the pen, which may or may not be true, because it's hard to put a thermometer in these buildings, because Sometimes the sun shines on them, or if they're in the shade, it may not reflect exactly what we're looking for. Thanks, Luda. Oh, I was going to try and get the chicks. So this morning was fun because the chicks are learning new things. So a couple days ago, they were playing on the picnic table. They're jumping up and down. A couple days before that, they were playing on top of the hay bale. They were jumping off the hay bale. And my husband was saying, oh, look, they're trying to learn to fly. And I'm like, no, not yet. But this morning, this roof's back here. That this is in the way now, guys. You're supposed to eat it. There. Okay, so that roof's back there. Broody, Mama, who's behind the hay bale right now. There she goes. She's chasing somebody. She was up on the roost. And then there were the 3 little chicks all alongside her. So it was like Broody and chick, chick, chick. It was so cute. And then I look over and I'm like, oh, there's only 1 chick now. I'm like, what is going on? Well, 2 of the chicks had crawled all up underneath her feathers, underneath her wings on the roost. I thought that was adorable. And I try to say, listen, I need to bring my camera out every time I go outside, but sometimes I forget. And sometimes I just have to take a memory shot, not a photograph. But they're getting big. Thanks, Luda. Those are your babies. Sasha, what were you doing in the mailbox? Really? But yeah, she's doing a really good job taking care of those babies. She tells them where there's food. She tells them where there's treats. She covers them all up at night, which is fun. And let's see, what's the question? Artichokes. That was the last question. Alright. I gotta turn that fan on for them. Still have my dumb glove on. Ugh, I'm tired of squishing squash bugs. But I know if I don't, that they will take over. There. They will take over and lay all their dumb little eggs. And then those little ones will turn into big ones, and they will take over and eat all my squash leaves. Hi, Miss Broody. Oh, it feels so much better in here. All right, get that fan on for them. And it's just to basically circulate the air. It doesn't really do too much. You can see that there's a breeze out there a little bit. Just get that air moving. And that was really good in the last week when we had a couple days of the really humid weather, where it was humid and still, and these poor guys, they were just running around with their mouths open, panting. Oh, they need more food. Their mouths open, panting, and their feathers, what they'll do is they'll put their wings out at their sides, like if we put our elbows out and air out our armpits. Well, that's kind of what they do. So, poor babies. So the fan does help a little bit. So I'm going to put some food in here. Hi, little chickies. They learn to eat from there. It's not low enough for them to eat because this is layer food. And I actually have their food over here by Sasha. So I don't want them necessarily eating layer food. They will. She's gonna fling it on the ground for them. I just don't want that happening because there's more. It's food for laying hens. It's gonna have more calcium and different nutrients than a growing chick would need. Some people don't care. They just do whatever. I could be that person, because apparently, like the water, they could have the cleanest water in the world and they'll drink out of a mud puddle. doing anything, am I? I'm just taking pictures. Just paparazzi. That's all. It's okay. Alright. Hi, Sasha. Sasha is starting to get the pendulous crop like Linda had. But this time I did order a bra for her. Oh my gosh. My chickens wear saddles and bras. So this is where I put the chick food for them. They're supposed to eat that. And they can fit in there pretty well. They can go in the back and get more food. And the hens don't necessarily bother it. And this water is needing filled. I'll do that later. Okay. Alright, what else? I was going to show the chicks. I did show the chicks. And they have the kale. You alright, Sasha? Not liking her comb color. See, Orange's comb is really red. Broodie's comb is real pale, but that's because she's a broodie, and I think. And so she's had hormone changes. Sasha, I'm not sure why her comb isn't real red. So I'll have to look that up, find out. Alright, I'm just going to come get the eggs. Hello, Greenie. See, there's Shekinah. She's got her mouth open, panting. Yeah, I saw that. There you go. Orange's got her mouth open, panting. What does erudite mean? You're killing me. I can't get the dictionary out while I'm on Facebook Live. And this. Oh, good. Apparently it's fly season. There's flies everywhere. So when I broke off the lavender branch, then I took some of the flowers and put them in here for them. Apparently they can calm down. And it's supposed to get rid of flies. So I don't know. There's one there. There's one there. This one's really sandy. It's not looking too bad though. It smells good in there. So I did go to church today. I didn't want to leave the house. Like, if no one's around, I don't feel like leaving the house. Just kind of hang out at home. I was like, well, I'll just watch Netflix. I'm like, no, get out. So I did go to church today and Sunday school. And then afterward, good, we need the dark brown ones. And I don't know where all the light ones are. Before the dark ones weren't laying. Better not put them in that mailbox. I don't see any over there. So then I got done with church and I'm like, oh good, I'll just go home and chill out. I'm like, no. So then I went to Mary Burke Park and hung out on the walkway, the dock thingy, and talked to people fishing. And now I know what kind of gear I need to get for fishing because I want to start fishing again. And oh, that's the other thing I did. Yeah, this morning and yesterday morning is, man, I'm tired just thinking about it now, is laid more wood chips in the path. I couldn't stand all the doggone weeds. Even though I had cardboard, the weeds were still growing up. I'm like, they're growing up in here. Even though I've cardboarded. It's a dumb creeping Charlie again. So, weeds. There's lots of weeds between the corn, but I don't care. Because corn got tassels. Well, it's got the seed things on top. And then, that's not tassels. I don't know what those are called. I'll find out. But then later when the corn ears start forming, they'll have the tassels. The silks. They'll have the silks. And then every silk in the corn cob has to be, every silk is going to be a new seed in a new little thing of the corn, little seed of the corn. So every silk has to get fertilized in order for a full ear corn to be created. So it seems to be doing okay. I've got a little bit of corn over there too, and then I did plant some in the very back over there. I'm hoping to give more shade to the chickens. Again, when the sun comes on the other side of the corn here, it's going to shade them over there. I mean, I'm not keeping them totally enclosed, but the shade is good for them too. Especially if I want to keep the eggs going. Let's see. I'll show you the artichokes. It's almost nap time. Okay, so here's the strawberries. Perennial fruit. There's a fig in the back. Perennial bush. Grapes. All-American sunflower. And here's the artichokes. So these I grew from seed this year. They are very large. These leaves are very, very large. And then they're supposed to grow up tall, what, 3-4 foot? And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, there's weeds along here. I got that. And then they form a head that's going to make a flower. But I don't know if I'm supposed to eat those this year or wait until next year. I got to look that up. And yeah, so I figured I'd try it. And then I can make artichoke dip, which I don't usually. So I'm going to try it. And this seems to keep out the bunnies just fine. It's 2-foot fencing. They don't even like go underneath it. But also the cats are around. So the baby bunnies don't last long with the cats around. But hey! Noelle? No! Get out of there! No! That's not for you. She found a log. I had lined the bed with logs, and she found one she's trying to dig out. Leave it! So our vines are doing pretty well. Filling up the trellises on this side. I probably need to move Mr. Owl again. Got more things that are going to grow on the vines. I couldn't help it. I got to grow more. There's more on this side. So they're filling in well. This is where I squish the squash bugs. Disgusting things that they are. And then the corn. Is she going to get that? She is just... Okay, good. She's not going to get that. These are tomatillos. They're tall. And they have the balloons. These are tomatillos. They're tall too. And they have the balloons. And the balloons are really a pretty good size. That's that size. This one is like, I can't tell. I don't know if you can tell. Like half the hand size. Versus, that's a tomatillo. Or these are the ground cherries here. Sprawling. So next year I'm going to have a special bed for them to crawl along the ground, and I'm going to put ropes underneath to lift them up to harvest them. Purple pole beans, red runner beans. The hummingbirds love those too. I get buzzed by hummingbirds when I come out here. Cardinal flower, they did have some flowers. They're not doing so well right now. I don't know what else. I think I'm about done. And, oh yeah, summer squashes in the back. I'm growing them vertically this year. The one on the left is already on a string to go up toward the trellis on top. This one is not strung yet, but I keep hacking away at the leaves on the bottoms. You can see the fruit, you can see the flowers, so the bees can see the flowers. And they'll be happy. We've got put a bunch of sweet potato vine in there. I have a bunch of zinnias and cosmos for the flowers again. Lots of peppers. Probably way too many than what we need. Probably don't need this many. Lots and lots of peppers. Basil. More peppers. And then I've been cutting away at the tomato feet, the tomato legs. Cutting off all the lower leaves they don't need. And then that increases airflow. It lets the tomatoes actually get to the sunshine. So like where's my finger? Like over here, there's some purple tomatoes. They only get purple because they see the sun. And they're supposed to be like that. That's black night tomato. So sun ripened tomatoes, they're going to need to see the sun. And it also keeps them from shading the peppers because the peppers need the sun. But then the corn, being so tall, gives them some afternoon shade. So they're not totally fried. And you can see over here, you can see some light coming through. So this is the east side. So when the sun shines, it actually can get through to the peppers on this side as well. And these are the 21 tomato plants I planted out when it was just too hot for them in the greenhouse. And I was concerned I planted them too early. But knock on wood, so far, they seem to be pretty happy. So I'm hoping the sweet potato vine is going to grow up a little bit more, give a little bit of shade. We got the more of the purple pole beans growing up. There's still some beans on them. They're growing up and they're going to fill the vines probably. Actually, if I go left with them, I'll get more shade, I think. So, and I do have some lavender growing in the greenhouse. Those cuttings that I'm trying to grow from the branch I accidentally broke off. And I don't know what else. The cutting garden is filling in. Yes, there's hibiscus. Hibiscus is not for cutting. Those were there first. But I just figured I'd fill in where there wasn't hibiscus. And I'm doing pretty well. This is the cup plant. It is now as tall as a privacy fence. And the leaves are cup shaped. And they catch water. And the birds and the bees and the pollinators and the insects, they come and they drink the water when it rains. The tops will be like sunflowers. And this is a native and it will grow babies on either side very well. Oh, a new sunflower popped open. And there's a bee in there. And more hibiscus, more sunflowers. Those are Chinese asters and they just don't seem very happy, do they? Cosmos, more cosmos, hibiscus, zinnias, Stokes aster. Those are some more of the Chinese aster over there. Snapdragons, calendula, snapdragons, dahlias in the back, very neglected. More cup plant, another cup plant. And this is a cherry tree with no cherries. Sure. There's 2 apples in the back with no apples. The pear tree seems to be happy, and I don't know if I was supposed to thin the fruit or not. I guess time will tell. Peach tree is doing fine. Peaches are still kind of small. I don't know if they get bigger than that. I don't know. Peaches at the store do, but I don't know if these will. Don't know much about this yet. And then the strawberries, I think you're asking about what strawberry types there were. Hey, get out of there. Thank you. Let me see. Let me get in the shade so I can see the comments. Oops. What types of strawberries are truly so? Yes, I do believe Sasha be jamming. Yeah, Sasha with the dark eyes. I call her the Russian. Strawberries. There's some with the Q. Start with Q. I believe there were some everbearing, and I believe there were some June bearing. So there's a big mixture in here. We did have them. We did have all these strawberries in this wooden thing over next to the garage, and we moved it a couple years ago. And when we moved it, then the plants got all mixed up. And so my tags even are not even like where they're supposed to be. So most of these look like they're done. I don't see a lot of white flowers. If I were to water them though, I bet they would give me a little more fruit. But it's very dry. I'm not going to spend water on them right now. I do water over here because of the grapes and the fig, and mostly because of the peach tree. And that's why all these weeds have grown up so well. Along with there's some milkweed too. But I can't remember exactly what kind of strawberries there are. But I'll show you when I walk through here. I gotta make sure I don't get hit by the spider web. Littles and littles and biggers and biggers and biggers. Ooh, there's a spider web there, an old one. That one's already got probably from a bird. Hopefully not me. I have been pruning like crazy. I've been pruning the squash and the watermelon like crazy. Those bottom leaves too, again, so that airflow can come through and the sun can come through the other leaves. These pumpkins I had left over because the client didn't want them, so I had been growing them for her in case she wanted them. These are going to be the stackable kind of pumpkins. And then I have some tomato suckers I put in too. Everything will be trellised. Everything. And everything will grow on trellises upright. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, this is the backside. These are where the tags are too. This is the backside. So if I keep all the leaves there, I can't even see what they are. So I did put some strawberries in these birch beds. And the butterfly bush is alive! It just took a while to grow. I'm so excited. So the butterfly bush is not dead. I did put in some dill also for some swallowtails to lay their eggs. There is a strawberry plant there. I tried to start moving the strawberries over here is where we had strawberries before. And when we moved that big bed and they got all mixed up, there were still some strawberries over there growing in the ground. So I tried to start moving strawberries from there into different places, like here and out front. I put in the slow bolt cilantro I had bought, and it's bolting already. It's not happy. Not enough shade. The sun was too strong. I was hoping the basil was going to grow up a little quicker and shade it. No, that didn't happen. That's okay. But like I said, there was strawberries over here. And there's still some strawberries over here that I could move. Maybe I'll do that in the fall. They'll still be there. But what I was going to show you is, watch out, pup. See, so there's flowers and there's berries. So we still have some strawberries. This is on the east side of the garage. We do have some strawberries growing that we can eat. But we also have raspberries and the ground cherries if you want something real sweet. I think I got more. Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch underneath this milkweed. But at one of my clients' houses, they have strawberries as ground cover, and I love that idea. So that's what I was hoping. I'm hoping that the strawberries will fill in these beds to keep the feet nice and cool of the birch. And then for this one, all these irises really like water. They like it moist. And I don't like the creeping Charlie. So I'm hoping that the strawberries will grow in there instead. And I'm hoping too that if I scatter the food plants around different places, that if bugs find them, they only find a little portion of it and not all of our crop. So I try to interplant as much as possible. And now I'm going to sit in the shade under this cool shade thing that he built. He's going to extend this out for us because it's no good sitting in the backyard if you're in the sun all the time. So, and this is the north side, and so the house shade, as the year goes on, the house shade starts moving this way as the sun sets further south, the shade becomes longer from the house, but not all the way. So this shade cloth is really nice. Nice to sit. And now I can see the comments too. Okay, so what types of strawberries? Can one dry tomatillos for floral arrangements? I don't know. That's a great question. Dude, you're giving me some great questions. I'm going to post those. Look them up and post them. That'll give me something to do this week. Like, I think I've seen, like, they look like Chinese lanterns, don't they? And, like, I've seen those as pods. I don't know if it's the same thing or if the Chinese lantern is actually something different. Okay. Ask you about calendula. Okay, well, what do you want to tell us about calendula? Because this is my first year growing it. It's pretty and it's orange. Not a lot of people like orange. It's supposed to be something medicinal too. I don't know. There's nothing lazy about me, my dear. Oh, there is. Really? For all the stuff that I post, all the different videos and stuff I make, that stuff, like when I make videos or do education and stuff, I love that. That stuff I'm really motivated to do. Weeds? No. Yesterday I had put in I think it was 10 wheelbarrows full of the I'm sweaty. Full of the what's it stuff? Nice. I had put in full 10 wheelbarrows of the wood chips through those pathways yesterday and then smoothed them all out. But it was nice and cool. It was like 50 something. And I told myself, before you drink your coffee, you need to do those wood chips. You need to fix that path. So I kind of made myself do it before coffee and then after coffee. And I still had two more, oh, that's terrible. I still had like 2 more wheelbarrows to put in that pathway. And I was like, I'm done. I need my coffee. So I thought, you know what? That's progress. And that's what I think of too, is if I haven't finished something, or if something's in the middle of something, I'm not going to beat myself up and say, oh, why didn't you get it done today? Why didn't this get done? I don't do that. Not very often. So there are definitely blemishes in this yard. Oh my gosh, for sure. Here's one. That dirt pile we had from when my husband dug out for this platform. All that dirt, it has weeds in it now. Like crazy. So I look at it and I go, huh, we gotta pull those weeds at some point. And then I say, not today. We'll get to it. It's like bottom of the totem pole of stuff. And I don't do work like I might get going at like 5 because the sun is out in the warmer months, but I won't go past usually 10. So once it gets hot, forget about it. I'm not doing anymore. And I will just come and rest. I'll look stuff up, like if I have questions, if I've taken pictures as I'm doing things. That might be when I look stuff up in the air conditioning. And some days, not most days, but some days, I'm really motivated and I just keep going. Most days, I have like 10 or 15 minute bursts of energy and then I rest. And then I have another burst of energy and I rest. Like now I'm sitting in the shade talking at my phone and in the shade and looking around going, oh yeah, we probably got to do this, or oh yeah, we got to probably do that, and kind of filing it away in my head. Like for example, those super bells are really annoying me. One, they're in containers, so I'm already biased against container flowers because I always kill them. But 2, because the one on the left keeps looking like maybe it's dying and needs water. But then I feel it and it feels dry, and then I'm like, wait a minute, if I give it water, am I overwatering? But then the one on the right, when it looks sad, it is sad, and I give it water and it's happy. So I haven't figured those out. Super bells. I need to work on those a little bit. But it's all work in progress. Okay, so calendulas are, I need my reading glasses. They're marigolds in Europe. Oh. Huh. Calendula in Europe by tradition. I'm confused. Calendulas in Europe by tradition will not allow a prostitute into a church. So like if the prostitute is holding a calendula? Or is a calendula like a cardinal? I don't know what you mean by that. Calendulas in Europe by tradition will not allow a prostitute into a church. Okay. So you'll have to explain that a little bit more to me about the churches and the calendulas. And what else? As I sit here, I'm hoping to see some butterflies somewhere. Hummingbirds. I haven't really done a lot back here so much yet. I just kind of like it just like it is, but then I want to see the hummingbirds and the butterfly. So I started doing the plants. Like I've got those super bells. They said hummingbirds like them because it's got a funnel shape. I did try to grow some annuals that butterflies like. They don't seem to be happy. I don't know about these container plants. Container flowers are not my thing so much. Oh, if the flower's in a church. Oh, they won't let the flowers in a church? The calendula flowers? Probably need to look that up. Yeah, and I do projects, and then I'm the kind of person that tends to leave the stuff out. So that kind of is not my husband's thing. So he will like to clean up after me many times. He will put my stuff away. Like I'm looking over there and I'm like, oh, I left the deer fencing out. It was in the shade, and I cut strips of it to put in the around the garden fencing by the chicken pen so the little ones wouldn't get out. I was like, oh, I left that out. I need to put that away at some point. I got tools by the shed, and doggone it, some hornets. They made a nest inside the storm door. So right now I cannot go in and get any tools because those dumb things. Unless I think I can spray at night, but I've never done it before. And before my husband left, he got stung like 3 times. In the neck, I think it was. And then he's like, oh, don't go in there. Well, you think? So, kind of a bugger. I put all my tools up in there, which I need to get to. But I think I'm pooped, and I think I'm going to go take my nap. And that is about it. So I went and looked at the chicks. They've got food and water. Oh yeah, I got to put more water in the little feeder, in the little water. But they are drinking from the big waterer on the ground. They're learning what the other chickens do with the milk jug waterer. And at some point, they have to learn how to get the... Oh, I just saw a monarch. Oh, good. Wait, might be on the... That might be going to the milkweed. At some point, the little ones have to learn how to use the heated water, those nipples on the heated water, which they'll watch the big ones. Monarch, we have some milkweed. Monarch, come lay some eggs. Nope, bummer. So in the fall, the last couple years in the fall, we were able to sit out here, or when we were working in the yard back here, and we would see the monarchs come flying from over the pine trees and then over the garage, and they would fly here and then we'd fly over the house and into the front yard, because they're heading south. So that's north there. They're heading south for the winter, and they would show up probably, gosh, every at least 10 minutes or so. Like, yay, there's another monarch flying south. So that's one reason why, since I've seen them flying around our land, that was one reason why I love to plant food for the monarchs for the fall trip. So the asters and the goldenrod have a lot of nectar in them, so they can make that trip. They don't need milkweed, they need nectar flowers for migration. Okay, so have the flowers in a church and the prostitutes can't enter. Oh, that's terrible. So you're saying they're like marigolds in a garden where the bugs won't come because the marigolds are there. Oh my. Oh my, my, my. Fun traditions. So my Sunday's done, and it's nap time, and I have to find some help for the end of July, a chicken sitter. So I gotta work on that, praying about that. And right now it just feels like all I'm doing is like sitting watching the corn grow. We're harvesting raspberries and ground cherries right now. Blackberries won't be ready probably for a couple weeks, I think, because they're hard. They're still really hard, and they're very red. And what else? The summer squash are growing. They're just staying real small, the yellow ones. Could probably start harvesting those soon. I saw flowers on the cucumbers, but that's going to take a little while. Beans. We are harvesting pole beans and the bush beans. Those are ready. And eggs, of course. And it comes in waves. So, like you saw, the corn's got the stalks. We're waiting on like the tassels, the silks. And the peaches are on the trees, and we thinned them out, but they're not big enough yet to do anything with. So it's like hurry up and wait, I guess. But I've really enjoyed these last couple days, and I know that's about all I got to say about that. And Curtis, you're the only one that's been asking any questions. But that's okay, because I've got questions from you now that I get to look up this week, and then I will definitely post like a blog post about it, and let you know when that's done. And probably I will take this video from Facebook and edit a whole bunch out because I'm just rambling. Blah 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 blah. Oh, I know what I was saying. Last thing I'm going to say is that I went to church. And then I went to Dairy Queen because I wanted a frozen Coke, and you can't get frozen Cokes at Dairy Queen. So instead I got a cherry whatever it is, frizzy, frizzle, I don't know what it is, frozen thing, which was delicious. And then I saw some planes flying over. I was like, oh yeah, the Selfridge Air Show is going on. So I went down that way. I called my husband so we could chit chat. He did fine at camp. And then I started headed towards Selfridge, and I found a spot. It looked like it was over. It was like 2:30, but I think my husband said they go till 4. And he's rattling off all these different plane names and all these different squadrons and stuff that are gonna be going on. I was like, that's cool, man. And I'm just like excited that like there's some planes. And so I'm like, well, it must be over. I start heading up Jefferson, like from Selfridge, like where the turnaround is, the roundabout. And all of a sudden I see some jets and they're flying low and they're really loud and they got smoke coming out. I'm like, that's cool. So I turned off real quick into this lot. Looks like a private property lot, maybe, of storage of shuttle buses. And I got to watch some of the air show. Oh, well, I enjoyed my frozen thing, and my husband and I were video chatting so he could see some of the planes too. And I don't know, so far just a decent day, not a bad day at all. So whatever y'all are doing the rest of the day, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn at least one thing new today. I learned about those calendulas. That's terrible. So then what do they do to attract the congregants? That would be my question. What flowers do they put out so that people are encouraged to come in? Lavender, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, Tammy Lowe, the Lazy Northern Gardener. And I am saying happy Sunday. And learn and grow some more. And share pictures with me of your garden. I don't know. I think you can post on my page. So if you have a beautiful thing you're proud of, show me. I want to see it. I want to see it. Or message it to me so I can see it. I want to see your baby pictures of your plants and your gardens. I mean, who else is going to listen to that? And who else is going to appreciate them as much as a gardener? So, yeah. And speaking of gardening, yeah, I got to take care of that pile. What I like is behind the pile. I mean, I keep saying just a little bit longer, or just this it. There's a little bit more. But behind this pile is a giant lilac shrub. I mean, you can kind of see the outline. You can see the light part is the tip of the lilac. That's how tall it is. Taller than the garage. It's probably got to be, what, 50 years old? Never cared for. So a lot of the branches were like arm and leg thick. Last year we took out like, gosh, 3 or 4 of the really, really large branches. And at first it just looked terrible. But this year, now the leaves are growing in real well. So we're getting fresh, new branches. And I may take out maybe 2 big branches this year, which encourages more new fresh branches, which encourages more blooms. Because we had some blooms, but it just, because it's an old lilac, it just doesn't perform as well as the younger ones do. So it needed some rejuvenation, and I'm really glad to see that the new branches are growing in and filling in the space. So I can see a couple branches. I'm definitely gonna take those out soon. And that will encourage new growth, and that will be cool. All right, that's literally it. I'm out of here. Love you guys. Thanks for playing, Curtis. You must not have had much fun to do if you were hanging out on a live. But I'm really glad that you asked the questions that you did. And obviously I don't know everything. What I'll have to do next time is I'll do a live with like the computer nearby. So when you ask these questions, I can look them up real quick. We'll see. All right, y'all. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the week. If you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. Everything can be made into a game. We get to determine what feelings we have by the thoughts we maintain. So hold that close. Love y'all. And I'll see you around. Oh, well, send me a message, goofball. Go to my page and hit the message thing, and I can help you out. All right, take it easy. Talk to y'all later. Bye.